Last month, we introduced you to a former street gang member who's trying to leave that part of his life behind him. But recently, he fell victim to a violent incident that put him in hospital with life-threatening injuries. He's out now, but James Lathlin says this experience fuels him more in leading workshops for youth to encourage them not to get involved in gangs. James joined me in studio, but we have to warn you, what you're about to see may be disturbing for some. Welcome back to our studio, James.
Thanks for having me again.
Yes, we weren't exactly planning on this, but something happened to you a week ago Saturday. Tell us what that was.
Near-death experience, my second one, and I'm just thank God for being here. And I basically was sitting with my kids. It was about 12 o'clock. We were watching movies, and we live in a co-op building where there's a lot of students, and there was a party going on in a conference room, and it was some gang members from the B-side walked by and thought they would invite themselves. And from that point I heard them arguing, yelling, and things like that. So I looked out and I saw a few of them by my car, and I thought, oh my, I don't know, I thought I'd go tell them to move. So I went downstairs and I asked them, hey, listen, why don't you guys, take this business somewhere else? From that point, they just started stabbing me up, and I ended up in the hospital. And next thing you know, I had all these reporters and people asking all these questions. And
what kind of wounds did you get?
One for here. I had 6 doctors working on me, and they said, it was a miracle, because if you look right here, it was by my heart, and one's by my spinal, and one's here. This is still open. They can't staple it up because of certain procedures that I don't medical procedures that I don't know. But the point is that they said it's a miracle. I'm like the Walking Dead. But I think, like I said before when I was here, there's higher powers up there with me, supporting me, and I'm just thank God for giving me this second chance. And like when I was in a coma there for the one day, the cops, were so great. I didn't even have to help them. I didn't tell them anything because I was sleeping. And the point is that the gang members told on each other. So that's one of the things I tell kids in my workshops about gangs is, when it boils down, they're your friend at one point, but when it comes to going to jail or facing the consequence of your crime, they end up telling on you, so all that family unity and structure they call, we got your back. It's not true, because I was sleeping and the cops just rounded them up and they told on their own selves.
Is it true that the kids who stabbed you up, you had worked with them just not long before?
Yeah, it was 2 years ago. I actually worked with two of the kids that just were actually at the youth center, and I was sitting there talking about my life experience back in the day and how I did it. And they were really, they got a lot of insight on it, and from that point, I thought maybe it would have changed them, but I thought maybe even they'd have a little ounce of respect, but they didn't. And that's the sad thing. I was watching news last night. There's kids that are 8 years old burning down buildings, prostitutes that are only 14. Kids are not kids no more. And one of the things in the Aboriginal community, I think that we got to put a lot of more awareness out there. And I think my workshops are great because they're not only gangs, they're about drugs, they're about a whole lot of other community issues that we deal with every day. And I'm a perfect example, because if you look at my body, it's a map to destruction, and God has put me on this planet to basically tell people, look at me and look where I've been and look what I could do for you. And I'm saying, I'm just from the gutter, I got 2 beautiful sons. I worked hard. I wrote a book, and Tupac Shakur gave me a grant. You know what I mean? So if you put your head, you know, anything's possible. And
but this gang life, you know, like since you've got into it, and then you've got out of it, and you're trying to free yourself away from it, and now you ended up in the hospital in a coma.
You know what? It only made me stronger because my audience got bigger. I'm here a second time, and there's going to be a lot more people finding out a lot more information about me. And you know, it's a beautiful thing because, you know, when I was in jail, I got I mean, sorry about that. When I was in the hospital, I got flowers from Stony Mountain saying that we see the work that you have done, and we support your movement, and we will take care of the situation that occurred. And I was like, oh my God, you know, people are really feeling my work. So, you know, not only, you know, the Clean Society is following up with my stuff, people from the gutter are saying, hey, you know what, we see your work you're doing, and we understand there's a change, and you know, we want to be a part of that struggle that you're helping. So
do you fear retaliation from those
honestly,
youth?
I'm going to stay in the same place. I'm going to live there. I'm going to walk, and I'm going to smile and say, hey, what's up? How are you doing? You know what I mean? Because you know what? Fear, me being scared is just going to make me weak, and then that basically makes my whole workshop completely nothing. You know what I mean? Because, you know, being Aboriginal, you're a warrior. You know, we have been through so much in our past that, you know, me being Aboriginal gave me so much experience. So, you know, one of those experiences, just having faith in myself, and, you know, I'm not worried about them even giving me the second chance, because I got 2 different communities backing me. I got the criminal side backing me up, and that's something I haven't asked. It just came while I was in my sleep, in a coma, and the police, the family, the community were actually.
You have 2 sons?
I have 2 beautiful sons that are actually in the background right now, smiling, and you know, that's the best thing I love about them, because when I'm picking them up at school, you know, it just makes me realize I have something so beautiful to live for, because, you know, it's just something you just can't explain, because that's the first thing I woke up to was my son smiling, saying, "Dad, you're okay," and you know, I loved that. That was the best feeling, and that's what you know, helping kids. I want them to have a future, because you know what, the future, it's hard, and you know, if I could tell them my story and show them, you know, look at me, I was gutted like a fish. You know what I mean? I was swimming through this big ocean, and you know what I mean? Someone caught me and did this to me. But you know what? I beat the odds, and now I'm telling you my story.
All right. Thanks a lot for joining us here today, James. Really appreciate it.
Thanks so much for having me.